On Wednesday, June 15th, 2011, the Vancouver Canucks lost to the Boston Bruins 4-0. The fans of Vancouver, who were viewing the game from the streets of downtown, erupted into a furious riot. An estimated $5 million in damage, leading to 184 people charged. And what evidence has convicted the accused? Largely that of public video surveillance. While this is a great example supporting public video surveillance, the issue has always been controversial. The British Columbia Civil Liberties Association has been advocating against public video surveillance ever since the Vancouver Police Department proposed a $400,000 16-camera system in 1999. The BCCLA outlined their concerns in a 2007 report. One of the concerns is that footage will be used or disclosed for other purposes. The report continues on to point out how in Britain, public video surveillance, originally intended to catch violent criminals, has been used to pursue offenses such as littering, underage smoking, dog fouling, and skipping school. The BCCLA argue that state surveillance of the public creates a barrier of fear and mistrust between citizens and the state.
Holy cow, are we that incapable of being civil? Are we that incapable? Are we that stupid where we have to be watched? Like, just look at those Stanley Cup riots. Maybe we do. There's a lot of idiots that took part in that, right?
I understand it on the one side, but I'm very concerned on the other. I know that the police can't be everywhere all at once, and I think that's often how they justify this need for surveillance. The riot situation, the things that have occurred in London means that it has more cameras than any city filming the populace. We're becoming a police state in small ways. We're being surveilled for our own protection. I'm concerned, yeah. I think it's a management tool. It's not a tool that improves us, it manages us.
The better the camera, the better chance of really identifying who that person is. Again, even if we can't see their face clearly, or if they got their hoodie on and their ball cap pulled down low or something like that, they may be wearing something, a particular type of clothing that's very, unique. And if we know of a particular person that wears that kind of clothing, again, that doesn't automatically make them the guilty person, but it gives us a lead to follow up on. Someone maybe I want to talk to and see, okay, well, where were you, Friday at 2 o'clock in the morning? And if they have a reasonable excuse for where they were, then we move on to try and find another lead. And a lot of times, a lot of stuff happens, and the first question we ask is, do you have video surveillance? No. Well, then unless someone actually saw it happen, there's not much we can investigate. There's no leads.
Northeastern University and the University of Cambridge examined 44 different studies that collectively surveyed areas from the United Kingdom to U.S. cities such as Cincinnati and New York. The analysis found that surveillance systems were most effective in parking lots, where their use resulted in a 51% decrease in crime. Public transportation areas saw a 23% decrease in crime. Systems in public settings were the least effective, with just a 7% decrease in crimes overall. When sorted by country, however, systems in the United Kingdom accounted for the majority of the decrease. The drop in other areas was insignificant. These stats do not take into consideration feelings of safety that citizens may get from these cameras.
It's actually, I got stabbed about 3 months ago, and there was cops sitting right there, and they saw the whole thing, and they drove away. And first thing on my mind is if I had video evidence, then I can persecute this guy, but the cops saw it right there and then drove away.
Public video surveillance has been popular in the UK since the 1980s. An article published in the CCTV Image magazine estimates that the number of cameras in the UK is 1.85 million, one camera for every 32 people. The amount of cameras in America has been increasing drastically in response to the September 11th attacks.
I know in the UK, since the 80s, there's been, in London specifically, there's been a lot of cameras in public areas, the street corners and high traffic areas. It's not as prevalent in Canada, but I know there have been various cities that have done test models. I know Toronto, Montreal, they've all set up cameras to see, how effective they are at reducing crime, preventing crime, catching crooks, that kind of stuff.
This map shows the locations of over 2,000 surveillance cameras in downtown Vancouver. This map does not include an estimated 900 to 1,000 cameras which have been installed as part of the Olympic Games. While the BCCLA is not opposed to any public surveillance in schools, they have made their position clear that continuous, suspicionless monitoring of student behavior is inimical to freedom, privacy, and the hallmarks of a democratic society.
Section 74 says that a board, meaning a school board, may install and operate a video surveillance camera in a school facility or on school land for the purposes of protecting the safety of individuals, the individual's belongings, and school property. A camera pointing in the hallways, I know, could help me out a lot, help the school out a lot. This school, like any other school, there's going to be cases of theft going on from a locker, from a change room, from a backpack left unattended. Without a camera, most of the time there isn't going to be a suspect, unless if it's used appropriately, it's a great tool.
At what point are we going to have no privacy as a society? Any value in it? Here on the streets, at least I have mixed feelings about it. In schools, I don't have any mixed feelings. It shouldn't be done.
And it is also a good idea to improve the more quality of the class or more quality of the lecture or anything else. So by making a movie for that class, it is a good idea to improve the section or improve the
I
class.
think this is good for both children and teachers. Sometimes teachers are not studying. So if there is a camera, then the management and principal will be seeing everything. What is the teacher is doing and what is the children are doing.
It is clear that people on either side of the argument have different values on privacy and security. However, both sides can agree that in some instances, public video surveillance has proven to be effective. That being said, neither side wants to see a future where widespread video surveillance negatively affects innocent people's everyday lives. The consensus among experts is that public video surveillance is only going to increase in the coming years. Therefore, it is important that the public remain well informed and that policies are created which take both sides of the argument into consideration.